Okay, this tutorial is to go along with our first article of the week titled SpaceX. You should have your copy of the article in a tab and your copy of the Cornell notes in a tab. So if you haven't opened those up from today's assignment, go ahead and do that now. And let's go ahead and just get our name in here and the title of the article. Because it's an article and it's not a book, we have to put quotes around it. So make sure you put quotes around SpaceX. And then the author's name is Adrian Zembauer. All right, we'll get that taken care of. Go ahead and do that now, and then we'll get started. Okay, as you remember, when you had Cornell notes earlier this year when we listened to the Alan Gratz interview. So it's set up the same way every time. It's basically a 2-column organizer. And to the left, the narrow part is, in this case, I want you to focus on the headings, which are the different sections of this nonfiction article. Sometimes I might put vocabulary in this part, in this section, or I'll ask questions. Sometimes I'll leave it blank and I'll let you decide how to organize it. But for now, it's the headings of this nonfiction article. And then to the right, the bigger section is where you keep your notes. And the notes today are going to focus on key facts or key learnings from each section of the article, things that you think would be important to write down and remember. Cornell notes are a very easy and effective way to organize your thinking around nonfiction. This is a great way to take notes in social studies, science, and even math. So this is a skill that you can use in all of your classes. So today's task is to read this article, SpaceX, and to take Cornell notes using the different headings. Now, a heading are basically just the little bold-faced words that are scattered throughout the article, and that's just organizing the different ideas of the entire article. So I'm going to read a section and pause the video, and that'll give you a chance to reflect back on that section and take notes in your Cornell notes. We'll go one section at a time. So before we read, I do want to point out, always use the images, illustrations, charts, graphs. Always use those because they're going to help your understanding of the article. And the big image we have here at the top is what looks like a spaceman in a car floating in outer space. And if you saw the video before we jumped into today's lesson, you know exactly what you're looking at here. The article does explain who this is and what's happening. When we get to that part of the article, I'll come back to this image. So this first section does not have a header like the other ones, so we would call this the introduction. And you will have to take notes on the introduction. So that's where we're at. Soft capture confirmed, reported Mission Control to the team intently watching from the SpaceX headquarters in Hawthorne, California. The room erupted in applause. Soon, 12 hooks reached out of the space capsule, Crew Dragon, to attach itself firmly into the International Space Station, ISS, for a hard capture at 6:02 a.m. on March 3, 2019. This was the first privately owned space capsule to do so. This was a test flight, a key step in showing NASA that astronauts could one day be safely launched into space again from U.S. soil. Astronauts have not launched from the United States since NASA's space shuttle program was retired in 2011. Since then, the U.S. has relied on the Russian space program Roscosmos for space exploration. All right, there's your introduction. 2 to 3 important details or facts from that section go in your notes. I'm going to pause the video so that you can take some time to add those to your notes. All right. This is our first header. It's titled The Man on a Mission. And here is the man on a mission. His name is Elon Musk. So this section is going to be mainly about him. It's a little biography so that you know who's behind all of this SpaceX stuff. Elon Musk, a self-made billionaire, earned his fortune starting companies like PayPal and Tesla Motors. In 2002, Musk founded Space Exploration Technologies Corporation, also known as SpaceX. Musk has degrees in business and economics, but no formal training in aeronautics. just so that you know, aeronautics, anything having to do with flight, like airplanes and spacecrafts, which I find interesting. According to SpaceX official website, its mission is to enable humans to become a spacefaring civilization and multi-planet species by building a self-sustaining city on Mars. So that is his ultimate goal, is to create a city on Mars that humans can inhabit. For now, SpaceX is focused safely on launching American astronauts into space again. So that's the end of that section, the man on a mission. 2 to 3 facts from that section. Add those to your Cornell notes. All right, we're going to move on to the next header. It's titled Mission Possible. So if you're familiar with the Mission Impossible movies, you might understand why they titled this section Mission Possible. In December of 2010, SpaceX made history by becoming the first private company to launch a capsule into orbit for a test run. Private means it's not a government organization. It's private, owned by a private citizen. The SpaceX rocket Falcon 9 lifted off from Cape Canaveral, Florida. It carried the capsule, with no crew aboard, into orbit with a secret payload. 3 hours later, the capsule returned to Earth and landed gently in the Pacific Ocean. The capsule Dragon was named after Puff the Magic Dragon, since many didn't believe Musk could achieve this goal. What was the secret payload that rode on the Dragon? A giant wheel of cheese. We flew to orbit and brought it back, so it was the world's first space cheese, said Musk. So you can kind of see he has a sense of humor about things. And their image right beneath this section, you can see SpaceX Falcon 9, that rocket, and the Dragon lift off from Florida. The section continues on the next page. In May of 2012, SpaceX made history again, carrying the test run a step further. The Falcon 9 rocket launched the Dragon with a load of cargo to meet the International Space Station, a mobile laboratory that orbits the Earth many times per day. Astronauts live and work there, carrying out scientific experiments inside and outside of the large space laboratory. The Dragon capsule was the first successful cargo mission by a commercial, non-government flight. The 1,200 pounds of cargo delivered was mostly food, clothing, and experiment supplies. The Dragon was tested while in orbit to ensure it could meet the ISS without endangering the astronauts. When SpaceX felt confident they could move closer, astronauts grabbed the capsule with a giant robotic arm to connect it to the Harmony portion of the space station. It looks like we've got us a dragon by the tail, said NASA astronaut Donald R. Petit as he operated the robotic arm. And there it is in action. There's the space station at the top of this image, the arm, and then it's attached to the SpaceX Dragon. And this section continues. This is a long section. With the success of Falcon 9, SpaceX aimed to develop a more powerful rocket designed to boost cargo into space. The new Falcon Heavy was tested in February of 2018. In true Elon Musk fashion, this test flight was unlike other test flights. Its cargo? Musk's personal 2008 Tesla Roadster carrying a mannequin named Starman. The car is still orbiting space today. And so that takes us back up to that first image at the very beginning of the article. There he is, there's Starman, a mannequin, dressed up like a spaceman in the Tesla. And I don't know if it's still running, but they had a live feed the last time I checked on YouTube where you could see the Tesla in action live, which is kind of cool if you're interested in checking that out. But don't do that now because you have to go back to your Cornell notes. I just read to you Mission Possible. It was a long section, so I would expect at least 3, if not 4, key details or facts from that section. Go ahead and add that to your notes now. And we're back to our final section. It is Mission for the Future. Okay. Notice how this article was organized. We had an introduction, some biographical information, what the SpaceX program has done already, and now this last section is called Mission for the Future, goals for what's coming next. Also, this is an image that's going to go along with this section. I'm going to come back to that in just a minute. The most recent test mission of the Crew Dragon on March 3rd, 2019, was pivotal for Elon Musk and SpaceX. It was proof they needed to show NASA and Roscosmos that they could be trusted to transport humans to the space station in the future. Inside the Dragon, a dummy astronaut was wired to send information back to SpaceX Mission Control about conditions inside the capsule to prove that a human could safely travel inside. The successful connection to the ISS without having to use the robotic arm was another great accomplishment for the team. Musk has his eyes on groundbreaking space travel, such as booking flights to send people to Mars. So booking flights, like you would book a flight on an airplane to travel across the country, his dream is for people to book flights in space capsules to go to Mars. So that's probably why this section is titled Mission for the Future. So this section, they're trying to prove it's safe for humans, and so that's why we have this image here. This is actually a tweet by Elon Musk. He's being facetious, being silly. He says, super high-tech zeroing indicator added just before launch. So it's this little toy here, this little plush world that they put in the seat to show when the capsule was at zero gravity. And so he calls it this high-tech indicator. It's just a toy. It says March 1st, 2019 via Twitter, when this plush Earth toy floats during the flight, it indicates zero gravity inside the capsule. A dummy astronaut named Ripley, if you look carefully, you can see him over there, also made the trip packed with sensors to send data about the flight conditions back to SpaceX Mission Control. So they were testing it to make sure it's safe for humans. That's that image there. And this image is supporting the idea of booking the flights, and so that's what the capsule looks like. It's called the Dragon V2, and it can hold 7 passengers, and you can see 5 of the seats right there. So imagine sitting in that one day and traveling to Mars. Pretty cool. So what you need to do is go back to your Cornell notes and finish up this last section, Mission for the Future, 2 to 3 key details, key learnings from that section, and then when you're done, we're going to sum it up. All right, the way Cornell notes work is you have your main ideas on this side, or vocabulary, and then on the right-hand side, your notes about those sections. You always do this final part called the summary, and this is just kind of bringing all of your ideas back together. What was this article mainly about? It was titled SpaceX. Focus on the headings because those are basically little summaries that happen throughout the article. Those are the key ideas, the big main ideas. For the article as a whole, and that might help you when you go to write a 1 to 2 sentence summary of what this article is mainly about, the whole article. And once you have written your summary, you can turn this in, and you are ready to take that little reading comprehension check. I'm sure you'll do very well after having read it so carefully and taking such good Cornell notes.